You're still too short. You're still too short. Oh, there we go.
All right. Welcome to Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Georgette. I'm the mom.
And I'm TJ. I'm the son.
And we both work and study in the field of psychology, and we are passionate about sharing what we know with you so that you can live your best life.
Yep.
And today we're going to talk about change.
Change.
Why do we dislike change?
The unknown.
Yes, the unknown. Uncertainty is scary, right? It's a shock sometimes that we're not ready for.
Of course.
Pushes us out of our comfort zone.
Of course.
And sometimes there's a lack of perceived reward. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
oftentimes short-term gratitude outweighs long-term gratitude. So maybe that's what that is meaning, is that it's going to be a lot easier for you to be like, hey, I get to sit around all day and not do anything. That feels and sounds so much nicer than that long-term gratitude and that long-term change. So maybe that's what.
I think it points to our need to understand the context behind the change sometimes.
Of course.
But
oftentimes the fear stops us from challenging and learning more about it.
Right.
So we can get more control.
Even simple things like going to a restaurant and like we did last night and seeing that my two favorite dips are no longer on the menu. That's a change. Why? Why those dips?
Why?
Little changes kind of disrupt us a little bit. They don't.
Curveballs, baby.
Yeah. We're not ready for them. We're kind of shocked. I thought that was a favorite. Right? So how we react to change.
Not their favorite.
No, apparently not. Not a moneymaker, at least. How we react to change varies. We have three different types of changes. We can take a proactive response, which is usually a more positive response where we can exert some control, right? We can take a docile reaction where we do not take any control, or we can be very reactive, which is often knee-jerk and related more to the emotion of the situation.
Fight, flight, freeze, survival. Right.
Like last night, I could have thrown a fit. I want to go someplace else. Not on the menu.
I don't want to be here anymore. This place is
They
atrocious.
suck.
How dare you?
So we always have a option of reacting to a change in a certain way.
We all reacting and then responding. We all want to react. Every time a stimuli is introduced, we always have that first knee-jerk reaction to want to throw some level of a tantrum. And we just have to kind of ride that wave and then get to the point where it's more response. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what I should do as an adult.
That's a great point.
I know.
That's a great point. Thank you for that clarifying statement.
Thank you for the positive reinforcement.
Proactive responses are more likely to occur in people who display high levels of competence.
Yep.
Right.
Of course.
Proactive responses are also related to our personalities. There are proactive personalities, and those personalities are a combination of 9 different facets related to what we call the big 5, which are categories of personality traits: openness, extroversion, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and agreeableness are the big 5. And in that big 5, there are 9 different traits that make up what they call as a proactive personality. Interestingly enough, achievement, which falls under conscientiousness, is the single most important facet of having a proactive personality. Probably no surprise.
What she said, all that. I like it. I liked all of it.
So there are 10 steps to managing change. So the first falls under the category of understanding that behaviors are complex, right?
This is cutting yourself some slack. Conscious empathy, relax, and yes, I'm allowed to feel this way. This is how I like to feel. I feel so confused. I feel X, Y, and Z. Allowed to feel this way. It's complex. I'm gonna get to it. Relax, chill, stop.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
Right. So we're going to break that behavior down. So each time you said stop, chill, what you're doing really is you're breaking that down into steps, even like without even articulating it or being conscious of it.
Trying to get a new short-term automatic thought process by getting new short-term information at the moment to get the long-term core belief towards the situation more so in my favor. Did that make sense?
It did.
Sweet.
The second step is to accept the change is frightening or intimidating or scary, something negative.
Empathy, you're allowed to feel fear. You're allowed to feel this. You're allowed to feel this. But you're going to have to feel this while change is occurring.
Right.
Sorry, not sorry. If you're waiting for it to go away, it ain't going to go away.
Under that category, there's 3 points. First is examine the consequences. So when you know that change is frightening, examine the consequence. Both the status quo, what will happen if you do nothing, and what would happen if you start to enact that change, right?
Fear setting. One of the biggest problems with fear is that we get such a strong emotional response to it that our thoughts go extremely quickly, and it becomes this much bigger thing than it really is. You have to justify it a little bit more. Once again, by just accepting that it's frightening to begin with. Examine the consequences. What will happen if I do this? Because if this is what I'm really afraid of, this is what I can do to prevent it, and this is what I can do to get myself back to a baseline if it does happen. Because that's the type of thought process that the brain doesn't automatically do. So you have to automatically do those types of things by examining the consequences, getting it more so in your favor, more so logic and reasoning as opposed to that strong emotional pull.
Also under that category, they talk about preparing your observers, which I think is really kind of a cool step, because sometimes what makes change difficult is how people react to our change. Because as much as we don't like change, people don't like to see us change either. Because it rocks their world just as much as it rocks ours sometimes.
Yeah, let them know. Let them know change is about to be occur.
I know, even in changing, like trying to eat healthier and trying to take better care of myself, it impacts other people. The choices I make in restaurants, the things I buy in the grocery store. So preparing your observers, I think, is a good step. So they're shocked and can help you and support you, hold you accountable to some extent.
I know.
Be realistic. We know that change is frightening.
Small goals.
Yeah, for sure. Change must be positive. So you need to have a positive mindset about it. Enjoy the act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Admire your outcomes and reward yourself along the way.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's anything else I'm going to add to that.
Probably not. Understand the result is easier than the process. Now, this, I think, is where you probably have a lot to say. No change comes without pain. I hear you say that to me all the time.
Mm-hmm. If it ain't challenging you, it ain't changing you, baby.
Yes. And like we said before, take those baby steps. Simplify the process when you can and anticipate problems.
Yeah, anything worth doing is going to come with some resistance. There's going to be one party that's going to want to do nothing and want to slack off and do X, Y, and Z. So anytime, you're doing something that's going to change you, there's going to be a little bit of resistance. So you got to get through it, get some baby steps. How can I get closer to it? Right? Yeah. Simplify the process by identifying a too much bigger purpose. What is my ultimate purpose? What do I want now compared to what I want most? And preparing for the problems. Once again, identifying this is what can happen. This is what can go wrong. I'm prepared. I control consciously. I'm all over it. Boom goes dynamite. Let's go.
Don't rush it. Change is most effective when it's slow. So establish that calmness and appreciate the journey. Right?
Yeah, I'm just breathing. Yeah.
Learn about the process. So monitor your behavior. This is where I think mindfulness comes in. Understand where you're at, how you're reacting, request feedback from others if necessary.
Recognize your thoughts, identify your thoughts, observe where they're coming from, identify what the bigger picture is. Yeah, doing it either in the mind or writing it down, but yeah.
Yeah, notice what works and what doesn't work so that you can apply that to, future attempts. Right?
Of course.
The next step is understand that change requires structure.
Ooh. Yeah.
So revisiting your plan, logically sequencing your steps.
Actually writing a plan, down, please. Yeah. Can we stop with it's all up here. There's a freaking jungle up there. What are we kidding? You gotta write it down. Gotta write down your goals. Gotta write down a schedule. You gotta write it down. If you write it down, it's gonna get another level of realism. It's gonna help you out. And now my hand hurts.
Yes. It's almost like you're making a contract with yourself. You can see what you actually wanted to do instead of changing it, because our mind protects us all the time. If I've got a plan in my mind, I'm rationalizing why I don't have to do it, right? Mm-hmm. But if I have it on paper, I'm going to be, this is step 2.
And it's a cognitive stimulator. So as you're doing, the emotional part of your brain is most likely off. So what you're doing is by introducing this stimuli, you're creating more kind of overall safety pathways because you're much more calm when looking at the situation, more likely for you to react better to it in the future, even from a subconscious standpoint. Boom.
Practice. Change requires practice. Get help from other people. And here's an interesting
role play
point I thought is practice in different settings.
Role play.
So you might be successful at a change in one setting. You go to another setting, you might face different challenges. So practice your change in other settings with other people,
Yes.
other triggers.
Of course. Practice, practice, practice. We think the brand is like you just say it once and it should be it, but you know, it's like working out. You got to work out for a while.
For sure. Protect those behaviors. Control your environment and use memory aids.
Memory aids, focal points, connections to goals, connections to purpose, connections to reasons for some of these more unhelpful emotions and stimuli in your life.
Right. And going back to control your environment, that speaks to maybe understanding what your triggers are so that when you go to other settings, you don't take a step back in your progress. Right? And then the last step is, celebrate those small successes. Map out your success so that you can enjoy it.
Your little path to victory.
Yep.
Small little path to victory.
All right. So this week, we want you to accept and welcome change into your life. See it as a challenge and take a proactive and positive approach to change.
Consciously approach it.
Yeah. Utilize some of these steps that we've outlined and check the resources in the video's description for more information. Until next week, have a great week, and we will see you next Let's Talk About It Tuesday.
Woo!